This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Abstract. Class tardiness has remained a perpetual problem throughout the history of learning. Although much literature has been expended on issues of indiscipline within the school system, very little has centered on tardiness, mainly involving absenteeism, drugs, gang links, gun control, and violence. This study, therefore, attempts to extend research on class tardiness by discerning the fundamental questions regarding promptness in school and class attendance by students by initiating a study using third graders at a public school in New Jersey. The methodology applied was action research, whereby both students and parents were integrated into the study. The results were remarkable, revealing a tremendous turnaround of the tardy students becoming punctual after introducing a prompter. The study was, however, limited by time constraints and a lack of independent validation. Nonetheless, the study was instructive and gave an indication that the dilemma regarding tardiness can be fairly lessened if not eradicated. Problem statement. The issue of class lateness or tardiness has remained an unending topic, with teachers and administrators perplexed about how to deal with the phenomenon. I thus resolved to investigate the reasons why this problem of tardiness is so persistent. By unraveling these issues, I hope to propose a more lasting solution to this eternal dilemma, assisting all stakeholders in resolving the predicament. Conclusion and recommendations. The general objective of this research is to determine why students are tardy in school and class attendance. The specific objectives are to determine the influence of teachers and school administration on students' tardiness and to examine the role of family or parents' influence on the tendency of students to be tardy. Purpose of the study. The purpose of this action research is to establish why tardiness has persisted in being an incessant problem in learning despite various measures taken by school administrators and teachers to curb it. By applying an inclusive action research methodology, the study can determine how to resolve the problem of tardiness, thus assisting the various stakeholders plagued by undisciplined students. Research questions. After carefully reviewing the available literature and the inherent problem, the following two research questions were determined as most relevant to the study. Will the alarm clock initiative have any effect on classroom attendance? Will seeking the parents' assistance in the purchase of the alarm clocks happen as expected? Scope of the study. Class tardiness and absenteeism have remained in an infinite quandary ever since the start of schooling. Students arriving late in class constantly reveal a lack of personal commitment, inherent domestic problems, or other psychological problems while disrupting lessons for others. The study applies intervention measures that aim to generate a reasonable prognosis of reducing or eradicating the problem as identified. Literature review. Within our school system, teachers and school administrators have always tackled the issue of class tardiness and absenteeism, though the latter has been deemed more urgent due to incidents of drug abuse, gang enrollment, and gun violence. Nevertheless, the issue of tardiness continues to plague many schools as school and class attendance rates continue to be high in most jurisdictions. Tardy students tend to disrupt the whole class, thus also affecting the grades of punctual students. This is particularly significant since interruptions are at the beginning of the lessons when, as Wang explains, it is the most crucial time for students to disseminate lessons. Slavin consequently emphasizes the importance of teachers setting the tone for lessons at the start of the lesson. Most analysts, therefore, agree that tardiness is an excellent disruptor of learning and is the precursor for future tardy behavior for the culprits. A study by McNeil and Prater revealed that both principals and teachers viewed absenteeism and tardiness as their most serious problems. The authors thus proposed for all stakeholders to take a more proactive role in enforcing discipline within schools in view of the escalating problem. Being punctual is not only an obligation for students but also a part of personal etiquette, reverence, character, significance, and valuable, while tardiness reveals a lack of dedication by the student to learning. With class tardiness becoming a habit rather than an exception, Wolfgang has asserted that the onus is on teachers to instill discipline in class that can greatly reduce issues of tardy students. However, Wang has a different view, arguing that cases of tardy students should be left to a natural ending whereby the students will be forced by circumstances to change their attitude for the better. Wang thus insists grades should not be used as a deterrent but rather other approaches like awarding certificates with students being made aware of the importance of punctuality and potential rewards rather than the negative aspects. Eggen and Kauchak are also against extremely severe punishments for tardiness since some students are sometimes quite ignorant of their actions. However, they assert discipline must be upheld and the intervention timely and consistent to make the student aware of the need to be punctual. Lack of proper class management can lead to a severe state of tardiness becoming the norm rather than the exception. Wang, who re-emphasizes the critical years of adolescence when the child's future is molded to be vital for all time, supports this argument. Eggen and Kauchak have also emphasized the need for teachers to be effective role models for the students, as incidences of their own tardiness will be generally mirrored by the children. Dye and Sternberg have reiterated the need to motivate students to shun being tardy. Charles advocates for evoking curiosity as the greatest motivator for learning. This makes learning exciting by means of diversity and freshness in the lessons in class. Students can be motivated to compete against other classes and with each other as an impetus to advance their class attendance and boost grades. Slavin thus agrees that exiting classrooms can be tremendous motivators for students who will be eager to get to the next lesson and hence will always be punctual. Methodology. The design of this study was classroom action research. Hendricks defines this type of action research as that used by teachers within their classrooms for the proposed express purpose of enhancing performance. Through the action research process, ideas gained from the study can be shared with colleagues. The research centered on the 3 classes of 3rd graders in the school, which the researcher labeled as Class X, Y, and Z, to avoid bias and hence create anonymity. Limitations of the study. The researcher was limited by the lack of control of the main instrument for the survey, the alarm clock that was to be operated by the subject students, hence offering instances of neglect or ignorance. The study was also dependent on the cooperation of the parents and fellow teachers, thus leaving the researcher reliant on their expediency. Lastly, time constraints limited the research in generating sufficient ground for a conclusive hypothesis. Summary. This chapter has introduced the research topic, the scope of the study, the research questions, the methodology used, the limitations of the study, and the literature review. The next chapter will center on a comprehensive literature review. If you want to find more works like this research paper on class tardiness as an incessant problem in learning, head over to ivpanda.com. It has a collection of free samples with thousands of submissions covering virtually all academic subjects. No registration required to access it.